down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, I guess relatives. Maybe I have one relative. Maybe my dad listens to this. I doubt it, but who knows? I'm excited that you tuned into the Savvy Radio Show. Whoop, whoop, how you do? Is because I have a friend in my world that has impacted me since the day I met him until today on the little speaking circuit. Yes, we have a celebrity, the first landlord scientist, Al Williamson from Sacramento, California, also AKA engineer. Also, I learned these keywords: auxiliary income, annex income,
ancillary
income, my hood rat behavior. He has professionalized me in the speaking world. And I just there's so much I can say. And, Al is a real estate investor that does arbitrage of corporate housing. You may want to call that short-term housing. I don't like the word Airbnb anymore. Al has beat that out of me. He has corrected me that. And I realized with laws, just if you're listening to this and you have an Airbnb, the laws are different for Airbnb in corporate housing. That's and right. Also with taxes and hotel taxes. And I learned all these things with Al. And so just recently, some random people are reaching out to me about corporate housing. There's no book really written on it. There's a bunch of fake information. And I'm like, you don't know Al Williamson? I'm like, he's all over the place. He's on my podcast. I am a customer. I bought the course years ago. And when you buy it once, you're in for life. This crazy Facebook group. And I actually showed this girl, Al, this is the bed you need to buy. I scrolled down. This is the creative idea for this. And, I'm telling you right now, this little group, the little amount of money it costs to get in here. And she was like, wow. I go, these guys vote on photos. One of my friends was like, had a Houston potential long-term housing, and they just helped him. And like, no, get this carpet, get this, do this, get this TV. I mean, I pay for Consumer Reports because when my staff was like, my printer broke, I don't want to spend 3 hours trying to figure it out. I just go to Consumer Reports, buy the brother, done, right? $10 to buy a relationship with Consumer Reports. But that is a crazy intro. And the reason why I wanted to meet you today or talk is corporate housing has changed. I know you were one of the very first ones that came in out of nowhere. This was an industry-driven big conglomerate. We only do corporate housing. That stigmatism has been broken. There's a lot of little. You have 500 people in your group. I saw the other day at your Facebook group. So there's at least 500 corporate housing providers in the United States and in the world and global, because I saw some people from out of the country and you're helping these people. What is it like in corporate housing? What's it in you? And why? This simple question: why did you leave Airbnb, or were you ever in? Yeah, you were in Airbnb because you got me in, and then you left me. Yeah, I was frustrated with that, and then you're just all corporate housing, and then you're arbitrage. What's the difference between the two?
Oh, great! Hey, thanks for having me again. It's always fun to be here on the Savvy Radio Show. And to get right to your question is, we still use Airbnb. Airbnb, we use it more as a runway. As a runway, get your plane off and to land and to pivot and to make sure that you keep your units filled, because you can always do it. Now, we want it to be the safety net. We don't want it just to stay there and have them tell us what to do and keep gouging both sides of the market with fees and they can also, you just don't want to be overly reliant. I think that's the right way of expressing it. You don't want to be overly reliant. You want your own marketing chops underneath you.
Okay, so the biggest question that they just randomly asked me is like, how do I crack into corporate housing? Mm-hmm. Or again, so let's just differentiate the two. Yeah. Airbnb is short-term. okay, which falls under a totally different skill set because it's in more management intensive in my mind. And then you got this corporate housing that sounds more lucrative and less hands off. But
okay.
and how do you crack into that market?
So you're really talking about just different terms, because you can use the Airbnb platform, which is just a travel agency. You can use them and set their parameters so that you only get stays 60 days and longer or 30 days and longer. You don't have to play that short game, which a lot of people do. They do well, they burn out, but they can do the short game. That's what people mostly think. But Airbnb, their CEO has been, they're public now, and he has to go and he makes talks every quarter to kind of talk about their stock and everything. And for the last 5, and it's going to be 6, he always has to say that longer term stays is the fastest growing segment, the most profitable segment, and the most stable segment all through this COVID time for them. And they've been gearing up to go after longer term stays. Now, that being said, there's a lot to that, because they're still not the only player in town. Everyone from Yahoo's the biggest player, then they go down. eBay was the big player, and then they go down. And Google's rising. There's lots of things changing on the landscape for extended stays and corporate housing. Lots of things are changing. So I'm not sure if I got to your question. What's the difference?
No, but how do they
kind of
crack
merging
in?
together?
Because a lot of the friends that I know through you, it just took a long time to get this clientele. That I think they took the first step, got on Airbnb, got their unit ready, cut their teeth per se, that's what I did. And then I realized this is way too much work for me and I'm out.
Yeah.
But this gentleman that I'm referring to in my mind is that he stuck it through, and now he's got 20 or so units.
Yeah.
And he's arbitraging now pretty heavily, meaning arbitrage is like he's renting from a landlord. He's got the business model called corporate housing in place, and he's profiting on that. And his risk seems really low in my mind.
It is.
So once you go and understand that, but then how to get to there is kind of the big question. But so explain to us what an arbitrage is and kind of what your passion is on that side.
Okay, on that side. Let me start you from this way, because it's nothing. This might surprise you. The Marriott, they're the big hotel chain. You see them all over. They're even in Oklahoma City, the Marriott.
Right. Of course they are, ding ding.
Yeah, everywhere. The buildings that they own are 5 in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Everything else they don't own.
I didn't know that. I love that you do this weird research and find this crap out.
I read their annual report. It's right in their annual report. Their goal is not to own it, is to control it. So that's exactly what you do. You can be a little Marriott and just master lease someone else's property and operate it as a extended stay home or corporate housing unit. So that's the goal. So it's a very, very, very established process.
Business model.
The goal business model. The thing is, you don't own the maintenance. That's the whole key to it, because the maintenance can eat up your profits. So you go at it, you master lease it, you reposition a property from the rental market into the hospitality market, and you create a spread for yourself, a profit margin for yourself, and that's what you enjoy, that profit margin.
So I find a place, I convince this landlord, which is a whole other ball of wax, to convince them to let me sublease or master lease your unit.
There you go, that word.
Which I have been through this process personally, because I have some units, I have an apartment building, and I have a guy that I trust, and I trust him, and I'm happy. I know that he's making $3,000 a month gross. I actually saw some of these numbers because we synced. He's going to listen to this podcast. He's going to be pissed. But when he first started, I saw that he was making $2,600, $2,300, $3,000 a month on my unit. But I just want $800 a month because that fulfills my cash flow. But he also has to pay all these expenses, utilities, and all this other stuff. And it comes out to, you roughly makes about $500 a unit net. and he's got a whole system put together. And so if just 10 of those makes $5,000, and he recently just quit his job because that $5,000 a month, those 5 units replaced his income. Yeah. And what was his capital outlay? And to be honest, I loaned him the $3,000 to get the thing rolling.
There you
on
go.
10% interest. So you know, if you ever need to borrow money, let me know. And then I gave him the unit, which I charged him a good rate, fair market value. And I trusted him and I believed in him. And it really fell into place because I tried Airbnb, and then it was just, my management system wasn't in place. And I just basically sold that to him and subleased it to him. And he just took off running. And now I'm assuming he has more than almost 20 now.
Okay.
And I just think it's exciting. And he got all this education from you. But the big question is like, is it just a time and faithful thing? Because he started with one, developed it and grow. Is there a special website that you can advertise on? Is there hundreds? Because that's another thing I saw on your Facebook page. I actually sent her. I actually saw there was 10 websites I never even heard of.
Right.
That were on your Facebook page of where to put your listing. And I was like, this is a whole other animal. Yes. Yeah, Scottsdale. It was a Scottsdale post. And I don't mean to be, I'm not in this game, but I'm still a member.
Well, let me tell you how that goes.
Yeah. And like you have one on here, dvdeluxe.com, holidayrental.com.
Now those are the biggest players in that market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those are the biggest players.
Explain that to me. Tell me what's going on here.
So what you do there, so you pretend that you're a person looking for, say, a corporate housing unit or a luxury vacation home. That's in that case. Then you go to Google and you type in those phrases, that you think people are searching for. And you do that 10 times, with 10 different phrases. And then you tally up what shows up on the first page of Google. And then, so now the most frequently found websites for your market. That's the only way to do it. And then you go check out each one of those.
Dang, that's like a super hack. That's like a SEO hack.
Yeah, SEO hack. Those are the players that you need to pay attention to and understand how that works and understand how they do their pictures, how their messaging. That's your competition. And if you can list on those sites, if it's a site, of course, Airbnb shows up, but there's other ones. If you can list on their site, you do, because those are the people that, the whole Pareto principle. Didn't you teach me? Isn't your name Pareto? The 80-20 rule. You need to focus on the 20%.
Yeah.
That brings you the 8%. And that's how you find them, by doing that type of search.
I just thought that was powerful. That when I saw that post, I mean, there's 21 websites, and I was like, and this was just in one of your people in your group in Scottsdale, Arizona. So there's a ton of them all over the place.
Right. It's gonna be different players for Oklahoma City, different ones for Sacramento. Different people are trying to make a push. Yeah.
And speaking of Sacramento, you went after the medical world. When you first got into this, didn't you go after doctors and nurses, and that was your niche at that time? Is that still the same now?
They're still in there. We're moving to higher people with higher housing allowances. So we're going for that. Yeah, there's all kinds of folks out there traveling. We have a guy, a NASCAR pit crew apprentice. He's staying with us. We have companies that hire straight for their employees, straight corporate housing from the employees. We have a casino being built like 10 miles away from my place, and all those project managers and even people who install sprinklers, they're there 3 months installing the fire sprinkling system. Those folks, everybody.
This sounds sexy and amazing. Okay. Wow. You got this. You're getting 3 times the rent, I'm assuming, close to.
We know definitely 3 times the net income for sure. Sometimes twice, I like
that net income.
Twice the gross, but it's all about the net income. It's triple, sometimes 5 times the regular net income.
Okay. I like the word net versus gross. Now, my question is, how did you get that person? I think that's the burning question.
Yeah.
How in the world I can't put that on Airbnb and I'm going to find a sprinkler guy that's going to rent my place for double.
Here's how you do it. You have a Google strategy.
Okay.
You show up on the first page of Google. That's how you do it.
Okay.
And that means you need to get reviews. You need to go to those backlinks. You taught me this, Steve. I think you taught me this. You
Okay,
got to get backlinks. You got to get backlinks to your website and show up on. And so you get these backlinks from or references from credible websites like Yelp, and Google has its own review sites, and your Facebook business page. All those things, getting people to leave great reviews about you gives you more credibility, and you end up on the first page of Google.
Okay.
So that's the game you play, so that you don't have to be solely reliant on Airbnb. You know, a lot of people, I say most people who are on Airbnb, you cannot find their unit from Google at all. There's just no way. There's just no connection from Google doing a search to find their unit. So that's a big problem.
So do you ever interview these people? How you hear about us? And then I have another question after that. Like,
oh yeah, they'll tell you.
Okay.
And also the way they come at by filling out my forms and reaching out to us, we know they went through our website.
Okay. Another question that I have is there like a brokerage for this? You know, like for corporate housing, like Airbnb is a brokerage for homes, single home, whatever, for short term. Is there a bigger platform for corporate housing?
You know, there's different sites and for different audiences. Let's talk about the corporate audience. Let's talk about someone from Microsoft, okay? Someone from Microsoft, they go to their HR department, and that HR department hires that all out housing for their employees,
right?
To different
That's their
companies.
Job. They book the airplane. They try to find out, so the HR person's making the decision on where this person stays. And I'm assuming this Microsoft, don't they have to stay in a hotel, or are they getting away from hotels?
They go through this their person who's in charge of their housing
HR
specialist.
person in their department. Yeah. Okay.
And that housing specialist contacts someone who's an aggregator or a big company that a smaller person like you or me could list with to say we have a property available. Okay. Because the big company wants to separate themselves from the liability of finding housing for and they don't want to find housing themselves for their employees, so they can give the employee the option. Yeah. Okay. So these aggregators. So that's on that level. That's on that big corporate level. You have to play with through the aggregators. On a smaller level, because this whole thing's not new anymore. It used to be new back in 2000, 17, 14, all that stuff, but it's not new anymore. People know that they can book direct with smaller furnished housing operators. So they start from Google, and they're looking through, hey, can I book directly with you? I don't want to pay the 15% fees that Airbnb wants to charge me. So there's this whole book direct movement here now.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, and those fees, just because I just recently booked a place for a retreat that I'm doing for the Savvy deal, and someone only charges $200 for cleaning, and someone charges $400 for cleaning, and it's there's not a level of consistency, and so you become price shopping, and you becoming what's the better value, and that's plays a part in the corporate housing and just long term. So, what's a typical long term tenant? And then are you nervous to stick someone in there for 3 months and then crap, I got 9 months. This is because I have an apartment by a college, and I used to think this way. I used to think scared. Oh my God, everybody's going to move out in August. No, I just make them sign a 12-month lease, and they want to break it or they got to find someone else. They'll pay for it. In your case, you don't have that kind of leverage on them.
Right.
Is there overlapping? Does the property, and what's a typical, is it 90 days, 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah. So sometimes it's month to month with a 30-day notice to move out. That's like a lot of companies. If you're dealing straight with a company and their employee is going to be there on a project, they just want to give you a 30-day notice to move out. because they just don't know how their project's going to go. So you have to be able to handle that and
Your business model.
not list it. Yeah, that's the business model. That's the flexibility they need. Oftentimes they may need reserve parking, things like that. As you move up and move up in the level of luxury, there's more demands placed on
I like
you.
that. Level of luxury.
Level of luxury, yeah. Yep. So that's it. There's workforce housing where just people just traveling on the government assigned housing allowance. And then there's this whole other crew of folks who not only older digital nomads traveling in their senior years, they want luxury and they want things nice. And
Well, it's
they
that new
want
Airbnb commercial. Did you see that?
Oh no, what is
That's
that
my
about?
babe. It's like an 80, 90-year-old couple.
Uh-huh.
And it's like there's a tag. It's an Airbnb TV commercial. It's during March Madness because I keep seeing it on March Madness, and it's like, that's my babe, or like that's my boo, and it's like a really old couple going to a luxury Airbnb.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot. Yeah. Yep.
it's really cool. I mean, it's like it brings in a perspective because, like, again, this is all new, and you brought up 2017.
Yeah.
And is that when you started getting into?
2015 is when I started this whole, setting aside a property or a unit and starting it. So that was 2015, and it worked out of this bed and breakfast type of mindset into this and kind of what it is now, where these one person, there's like Airbnb companies where one person has 20 units or 40 units, on there, and they're just doing it as a business model. These like. But even there, Stephen, when I show up at these corporate housing retreats or conferences, they say, hey, well, okay, everyone, small operators, 100 units and less, go there. So I'm considered my 28 units is micro in the world of corporate housing, right. But yet it's very profitable because the way we run it. But people start out for 200 units under management.
Man, it's extremely interesting. I had a question. I should have wrote it down, and I just had a blank.
We can edit that out.
Yeah. How far? I mean, you got into new construction. You got into right. I mean, you
right.
got it. Oh, okay. This is what I was going to say. Thank you for remembering. All right. So I creeped on you before the interview, last couple of days. I went through your Facebook page and went through all this stuff. And there was one thing that I noticed. You're extremely passionate about extra income.
Yeah.
And you had these little devices. And you actually had a giant pod. This is your backlink you're talking about. Cause I don't remember. I couldn't remember your website. And so I was trying to Google you up to help this lady. Right. And I'm like, I know it's leading landlord.
Yeah.
And I know it's like, cause he went from Airbnb landlord to leading landlord because Airbnb, and that's not what he wants to be. And I Googled you up and I found a backlink to an article that you've written about this device that you attach to one of your units. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Antenna.
Yes. And so
yes.
And I noticed when I read the article, you were extremely passionate about extra income.
Yeah.
About then I read, I got sucked into your crap, and I was like, oh man, I got into, and I didn't mean to say crap, but I was like, oh, renting bikes. And then it reminded me that I used to have an Airbnb and my bike got stolen. And if I rented it, it probably wouldn't have gotten stolen. But since it's no value. So let's go into all the extras, income potential that you can have on one of these, like laundry, is there food? Tell me some new things that you've incorporated or figured out or thrown away.
Well, the newest thing that I'm playing around with, I'm about to start now that I've finished my construction project, is catching up with Travelocity. You can set up food tours. When people show up, they want to do something special. So you can just go through Travelocity and pick out the foodie tour for people who love beer or people who want to try out all the steakhouses. And you get an affiliate commission by just putting those in front of your person. So that puts an unlimited thing as far as another income source for you. We also when people are inquiring and we're booked, because they're always coming through our website, and sometimes we have availability for their when they want to stay, don't. But that doesn't mean you can't market to them. You still can. You know what time they're going to be in town. You can point them to different things.
Ooh.
So there's ways of making money on that front too. The easiest, most popular way, not that I do it, but a lot of folks do, is connecting Turo with your stay.
I rent Turo over it lately a lot.
Yeah, because when you're doing a longer stay on a Turo, you know how that really adds up.
So there's affiliates that you're doing there. How about any extra services that you charge? Do you do laundry services, or do you provide any other services outside of just the housing?
Well, we try to put laundry machines in each one of our units, and people prefer that to be able to do that when they want to. For the folks staying now, the luxury folks are different. So I'm just getting into the luxury market, but mostly the workforce rentals, they just want to have laundry machines right there for them in their units. So at first we did bicycle rentals, but now everyone's renting bicycles. So I was renting bicycles before, Lime and Skip and everyone else. Yeah, everyone's doing it now. And those electric scooters, those weren't even invented when I was starting those rental properties. So
that's awesome. You're always on the front curve of it. On the curve.
Yeah, if you can get a nice house and put a Toro car inside of it, that's gonna make it
like you provide the Toro yourself?
Yeah. You provide it yourself.
You don't outsource it. Dang, that's a great. I've been trying to get into Toro for a while. I've narrowed it down to 2 vehicles. I think I actually rented. This is another side, but Tesla. There's a guy out of Las Vegas has Teslas all over the country, in every market, in every airport. I creeped on that dude. Okay. Number 2, I found the best vehicles to rent. See if you can guess it.
Well, Teslas are so super popular just because of the price of gas, for sure. And I imagine some type of
there's your
Toyota.
logic. There's your engineer coming out. No, vans, minivans.
Oh,
they are in super supply and demand.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
Because I was like, man, I could do this and throw it in Florida, and then I can rent out a garage in Florida, and then I can write this off in Florida, and all this detail that I spent a lot of time on Toro. I got my wife on it, and I'm like, because her dream is to own a Jeep.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'll buy you a Jeep, but I just want to let you heads up, it's going to be on Toro.
That's not right.
So I can write this off. This is how I roll. And so I was like, she was down. And she's like, tell me what she wants. She wants a white one. And I'm like, okay.
You got it.
And then I'm going to make sure before I get this thing. And then, of course, this whole economy collapsed. But I was about to buy one. And the money maker is the minivan. The minivan is funny. The most, because people fly in and they have families.
Yeah.
And I found a little niche there that could be profitable. But I never thought about having an Airbnb. And by the way, I got my Toro outside.
Yeah.
And I have a unit that would be perfect for.
Yeah. All they need to do is get a lift to the spot, and the car's already there. And you attract people who just want that full package housing solution.
And I think that's the future, because like we're talking about doing Mr. Landlord conference here shortly. And I'm like, yep, I'm not, you said, aren't you going to drive? I'm like, nope, I'm not going to drive. It's 6 hours of drive, or it's a 1 hour plane ride.
Yeah.
But then I was like, if I drive, I got to worry about my vehicle. Nope, I just fly in, I get Uber over to the hotel, and I'm trapped. I'm cool. Right. If I want to go out somewhere else, I'll just Uber somewhere else.
Right.
And I just think that's just as me at 48 years old, I just don't think that way. But now I like that way. I just feel like I have more control. Before I felt limited. Now the sky's the limit. If I want to rent a Jeep, great. If I want to, and I tend to go bougie, for $50 more, man, this one has a hot tub. This one doesn't.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
and I think
when we started traveling, when we first met, we were traveling, all of this whole
you always stayed at Airbnb, and I was always stayed at a hotel.
Yeah. This collaborative economy was brand new. This whole sharing economy was brand new. Yeah. Now it's just provides more convenience than having your own stuff.
What I love about it, it just provides for everyone else. Everyone's trying to have a side hustle. This person's going to make money off their car. This person's going to make money off their room.
Yeah.
it's not the big Marriott that takes all the money and all the profit. And,
Right.
the city gets this little tax money. Well, the city still gets tax money, and the little entrepreneur who I love gets to survive.
That's right.
And, I was in somewhere speaking in Chicago, and I stayed in an Airbnb there. It was cheaper than a hotel.
Yep.
It was small and tiny, and there's a little couple that owned it. And, they were weird. I had to meet them at the door or some crap. I'm like, no, I don't need to meet you.
You got to have a digital look.
They didn't know. They didn't buy your course.
Oh,
Speaking of that,
that's funny. My course, the digital lock was new when my course came out.
Well, there's so many new digital locks. They've upgraded that lock. I have 40, 50 of those locks. They're in all my apartments.
Okay.
They're on that lock that you told me about, the digital keypad. They've actually just recently updated it to a new version.
Oh, yeah.
Where
it has a key, hopefully.
Yes, there's a different. Anyway. But let's speak in, we're 30 minutes. I'm trying to keep these podcasts down 30. I want you more on the show. What do you offer? And I know that you've changed your stuff up, right? You have a class, or you have a course,
right?
And you used to do super coaching.
Yeah.
I think you still, I don't know. What do you do now, and how does it work? I love your group that I'm in.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I get the people that want me to coach them, and I'm like, I don't do Airbnb, or I don't do this.
So what I'm doing now is I offer a coaching and training program, but then I find that, learning is scary. People need more hand-holding. So then we do an accountability class with that as well. So not only do you have the materials and the videos and all those things, and access to a private Facebook group, but you also have, twice a week, 1 hour of accountability. What have you done? Talking to me. So that's a group coaching. Did you do it? Did you call? Did you reach out? What happened? And we can all brainstorm together. So it's like office hours for twice a week for 4 months, twice a week for 4 weeks. That comes too, just because people need that. There's a lot of questions, and I get to. There's no excuses. It's a 30-day challenge right after it as well.
Well, I just wrote this down. If you see this before you got here, it says coaching, education, and credibility.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was coaching someone earlier before the call, and I just know the success is just accountability. Yeah. And when someone, I was coaching someone that is a customer for you, a client, I guess, I don't know what, student. And he would show up, and I'm like, did you call that landlord? And what did he say when he said, no, you can't do it? Or when he said yes? And that immediate coaching at that immediate time solved his problems, so he can move to the next step, because there's certain type of people that have to be step 1. You got to find a house. Step 2, I'm not like that. I get the vision and I'm going to go buy it, or I'm going to go figure it out. Some people really need, and I think that's what's so good about what you do, is that you have a step 1 and then you follow it up with accountability.
Yeah. You got.
What does all that cost? How does that work? That sounds great, because my coaching is expensive. Yeah. So what do you charge now?
So this coaching and training with accountability is $19.97. One time. Geez. Yep. And as you know, once you're in, you're in.
I'm in. I bought it. I think
for years. For years, you're still getting new modules.
Guys, I almost want to tell the podcast all these websites. Parsonvillas.com, home to go.
Only for Scottsdale, though.
I know. DV luxury. I didn't even know that it was luxury housing. I'm so ignorant. VRBO is luxury in my mind, because here's another thing, because I book a lot of stuff now, and I go to Airbnb first, and it has a different class of people, and then you got VRBO was supposed to be higher class of people. But here's a crazy thing. I just booked for my retreat in October. It was cheaper on VRBO. And 3 years ago, when I owned this beach house, it was way more. VRBO was way more than Airbnb, but Airbnb was just trying to get into the market. Yeah. It's just fascinating how it just changes. And this is why I think, I don't have that type of group. My coaching is one-on-one, and I don't have a group type of stuff. And I just see the power in it. Just this list of 21 people, buyowner.com, Scottsdale, REITs, Stay Porter. What the heck is stayporter.com?
Yeah.
Or
It's showing up. It shows up a lot. They're
AZ,
getting a lot of traffic.
Arizona VR, TripAdvisor. The TripAdvisor trick was worth $500 right there. So when I told this gal his coaching is X amount, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, just to get this list, just to throw your stuff on there was worth it in my mind. But that's just me. I just think that way now. At 48, I'm dying any day. I don't want to be sweating. I don't want to be wasting time.
That's it.
I mean, I'm still trying to think how much you charged me back then. I'm like, it's like a G. I know at one time you had $5,000 packages, and I was like, I ain't doing that one.
Yeah.
Like, and that was your crazy time when you were like,
that's retreats. Yeah.
You were like, I guarantee you will get a VRV. I mean, you will get a arbitrage. Remember those days?
Yeah.
You were like, and I remember I talked to 3 people out of your group that did it.
Oh yeah.
That you guarantee that and I was like, you don't do that no more. Why you don't do that one no more?
Well, COVID stopped us from gathering.
Oh, okay.
So that took, but I still love doing on-site 3-day retreats where we're actually building your business. So we'll get back to that.
We can have one in Oklahoma City.
I need to.
You're a celebrity here.
You know what's different about me now than when we met is now I'm a house dad now. Now I'm responsible for taking my kid to school, and I pick her up and do homework, and this thing works. I'm living my vision.
That's it. I mean, I'm truly honored to know you as a friend and as a speaker and an author. Yet you recently released a book not too long ago. I saw that on there too.
Yeah, virtual assistants, right? For managing these extended stays. Yeah.
Yeah. Give us a kind of a synopsis of the book and why you wrote it.
Well, so many of people I coached had success, and they were able to scale up. And then they say, Al, I left my job, but now I have a new job. So that was like, okay, if we all do things a certain way and we all together hire the best VAs that we can and train them to run our businesses, then we could do that for a fraction of the cost of doing it by ourselves. So I wrote these standard operating procedures, and that's what the book is so how to coach your VA and how to get your business set up so that someone else can do the repetitive stuff. And all you have to do is, if it's time for your booking, they vet the person, they send you a DocuSign for you to sign, and then that's pretty much all the work you do.
Cool. I think it's important. I actually just sold my VA course today, Outsource to Wealth. And it's one of my most successful courses. I don't push it because it's too cheap, $300. And people, just how much does it cost to have freedom? How much does it cost I know a guy that makes money off arbitraging VA services, and he makes thousands of dollars a year, like over $100,000 a year from my little course. You just never know what's going to work for you. Some people think it's uncomfortable, hiring someone that's not next door. I don't see why. I mean, but I'm glad that you have that book out, because now I can refer that, because mine is more small. I don't know. Not even landlord. It's just outsourcing anything. Come up with something that you don't want to do. Mine is graphic design. Mine is writing. I'm not grammatically correct. I love hiring VAs to just look at my stuff and say, yeah, that sucks. You need to rewrite that. And here's 5 suggestions. How much was that? $20? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's what that's about. We're moving into this evolution where people are selling off their whole portfolios of furnished rentals. So having a service allows you to sell off your business
turnkey.
Yeah,
it's done. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so how do we get a hold of you? You can always text the Savvy Radio Show. My number's on there. You can go to savvyinvestors.com. Right. But how do they get a hold of you directly? What's your website right now?
To get into my world and also get a copy of my book, 40 Ways to Increase the Net Income of Your Rental Property, go to landlordscientist.com and sign up right there. And you're going to find out everything I do and get a lot of cool stuff, audio about how to reduce your expenses, and a whole book on how to increase your income.
I love the name Landlord Scientist. I loved engineering, transactions engineer. That's Augie, but I love the scientist because you're constantly on your little Facebook group. You guys are always testing stuff. Like I saw the other day, you had you used this little corner and made a chair out of it, or you made a bench.
Oh yeah.
And you found this wood, reclaimed this wood.
It's a focus room. Yeah.
Yeah. And you made it these are just weird things. I was like, man, does anybody know how powerful this is? I'm like, and that's why I wanted you on the show. I'm like, hey, if you're struggling and you don't know what you're doing on corporate housing or even Airbnb or anything like that, this is the place to go to landlordscientist.com. It's a free book. Is that what you're doing?
Yep. I'm giving away my book. Yep. And then audio series.
And then you can go to Amazon and buy your VA book. What's that called?
That's called Virtual Assistants for Extended Stays.
Okay, cool. And then that's it. So Al, I appreciate you. Hopefully I'll see you in human life in St. Louis.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
And Mr. Landlord Conference.
2nd through 4th.
2nd through 4th. St. Louis. If you guys want to ride together, anybody want to go to the Mr. Landlord Conference? It's one of my favorite things on the planet. That's how I met Al. Are
you going to be on the turntables again?
No, no, I'm doing a round table because he asked me, but no, I'm not bringing the sound. What he's talking about? Because I used to do the sound. I used to do the projector, and I almost thought about it today. And I'm like, this is not where I need to be focused on. I need to be.
Yeah. If I show up, I'll do a round table. Yeah. Yeah.
I would reach out. I mean, you need to be there. I think he would love for you to be there, man. Just tell him, hey, VanCauwenbergh told me I'm coming. If you need my help.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, landlord scientist, savvyinvestors.com. I really appreciate you on the show, Al. And ladies and gents, hopefully this was empowering for you. This wasn't a commercial. This is reality. This is truth. This man does this every day. I don't do that anymore. I'm not into that anymore, but I love it. And it's fascinating. And I love the growth. Thanks for all the info. And I hope people get inspired and they go do it.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter @LandlordBook and always be buying assets.